Hey guys, I'm sitting at home right now and I'm about to leave to go see my aunt that's in the hospital right now. I'm her caretaker for the most part. I do have help from her boyfriend and her kids sometimes, but it's predominantly me. She is just getting done with surgery on her colon. She had cancer and she's got lupus and cervical cancer, and they went in today to remove the last part of the cancer from her colon. So I had to run back to the house real quick. I left work early, let all the dogs and stuff out. My cousin is here. She brought her dog so she can help take care of her mother. So she's got to head back to work. So I decided that I'm going to leave the article in the Chicago Tribune that was wrote about me back before going into foster care and getting the pleasure of meeting a woman so special as Miss Johnson to help me learn how to be a child and how to grow. And um, one of the most amazing experiences was going to a black church and how energetic they are and how soulful they are. And then on Sundays, getting to leave and come home and I know this is nasty to some people, but I love chitlins. I love collard greens. I love hog maws. I love pinto beans and cornbread. I love southern fried chicken her way. There was so much that I got to experience with this lady that I would have never experienced in anywhere else. And so this article is about me. It's about when I was homeless and I was living on the streets, and I finally couldn't do it anymore after what I was. This was the fifth time that I ran away, that I was actually homeless. Instead of going back home this time or getting picked up by the police, I went to the police and I told them everything that was going on. I told them about the drugs that was in the house. I told them about the money that was in the house, the guns that was in the house. There was hundreds of sex tapes. The woman that I thought was my mother actually ended up not being my mother. And my mother had given me up to my grandparents when I was young, which I've covered that in earlier videos, but really I need to do some new videos. The reason I tell you guys this stuff is because for years I struggled, and it didn't all come together. I never got over this stuff. Therapy and counseling and stuff like that for years didn't work until I actually got into the nutrition side of engaging my mind and my body. And when I did that, and that's when I really quit having to take the medicine, quit having to go to all the counseling appointments and stuff and the therapy appointments. Once I engaged my nutrition properly and I learned what my body needed and the proper amounts and stuff of it, that's when I started recovering from everything that I had been that I had destroyed in my mind, and all the walls that I had built started coming down. And it's so fascinating how nutrition in general and just love and believing in faith and just walking the path can impact somebody's life. But this article is titled "Boy Leads Officers to Drugs, Turns in Parents." Police say 13-year-old boy was beaten by mother, which I have scars in my face where she has literally smashed my head into counters and just split my skull open until you could see brain matter, and scars all over my body where my arm was cut open. I've got a big giant scar on my side where about a softball sized piece of skin is gone, where she actually stabbed me. And I remember one day her putting me in a corner and getting the two babies in the house to go in the kitchen. I think I was like 10, 11 years old, and she would pull knives out of the drawer, and they sat about 8 to 10 feet away, and she thought it was funny to watch the two babies, the 3 and 4-year-old, pick up the knives out of the drawer and throw it at me over in the corner. Most of them missed, but some of them would hit me, and eventually she got tired of not being satisfied by the knives not really hurting me too bad, so she picked up one and she threw it herself, and it actually landed in my knee and went all the way into the socket of my knee. And how she fixed it was she just basically packed it full of gauze and just kept it taped up, and eventually it healed to a scar, and it healed, but it doesn't look very good. So I was that kid. I was the kid that was abused and locked in rooms for days on end with nothing but a bucket to use the bathroom in, and gallons of water and loaves of bread, along with the babies to fend for myself. But the article is called "A Boy Leads Officers to Drugs and Turns in Parents." Police say 13-year-old was beaten by his mother. This is November 11th, 1999. A 13-year-old boy who allegedly was beaten and stabbed by his mother turned in his parents and led authorities to a stash of guns, money, marijuana, and more than 17 kilos. Not they put pounds in the article, but it's kilos. That's actually $4.5 million worth of cocaine they found in the house. More than 17 kilos of cocaine at the family's Rogers Park apartment, police said Wednesday, while talking to the boy about the multiple bruises and puncture wounds on his body. Police learned Tuesday from him that there was a large amount of cocaine in his parents' apartment, Lieutenant John Caracia said. For the record, additional material published November 12, 1999, Corrections and Clarifications, a Metro Section story Thursday about the arrest of Kenneth Sharp, 69, and Hazel Paso, 34, both of the 6300 block of North Claremont, Chicago, incorrectly identified the name of their neighborhood. It is the West Ridge neighborhood. The Tribune regrets the error. It takes a lot to come forward and turn in a parent, Corsica said. He was very courageous. I'm trying not to get emotional. Police searched the home of Kenneth Sharp, 69, and Hazel Paso, 34, in the 6300 block of North Claremont Avenue, and found cocaine wrapped in bricks in a bucket in the bedroom. It was a 33-gallon garbage can. It was full all the way to the top. Corsica said they also found 20 grams of marijuana, a 9mm handgun, a 12-gauge shotgun. He said Sharp, the boy's stepfather, was charged Tuesday with 1 count of possession of a controlled substance, 1 misdemeanor count of possession of marijuana, and 2 counts of unlawful possession of a weapon. He was being held Wednesday on a $2 million bond. His wife, Paso, was charged with 1 misdemeanor count of domestic battery. She was released on bond the very next day. The boy and his 4 younger siblings were placed Tuesday night with the Illinois Department of Child and Family Services. Police said they learned of the situation after the boy confided in a 17-year-old friend Tuesday that he was afraid to go home because his mother beat him. That's when I was homeless, and I was walking late one night trying to find food and get to a place to sleep, and some guy seen me walking on the street, and he said, "What are you doing out so late?" I was only 13 years old, and there was a curfew. And I said, I live on the street, and I'm homeless, and I don't want to go home because my mom beats me. And I don't want to go back to that. I would rather be homeless. And he made me go. He said, "No, we're talking to the cops. You're going to get help." So I went to the cops. But at this point, I had walked almost 16 hours to get away from, as far away from as I possibly could where I was living, because I had already decided that's what I was going to do, was talk to the cops. I just didn't have that last little push, and he gave it to me. The friend called the authorities, and police went Tuesday afternoon to a nearby home where they interviewed the boy. He had been battered, there were bruises about the body, and there was a scabbed over pierce wound on his knee. That's where she got tired of looking at the babies throw knives at me, and I wasn't getting cut up good enough for her, so she took the knife and threw it at me, and she made sure I got cut open. While being interviewed by the police, Corsica said the boy said that his stepfather was in possession of a lot of cocaine and weapons, and that he could direct them to where they were located in the apartment. When the officers went to the apartment, police said Pasu denied that the boy had been abused or that there were drugs in the house, but she had given written consent to search the 3-bedroom apartment, and police found the cocaine, money, and guns where the boy had said they would be. Police took Paso into custody first. Several officers waited for Sharp to return from work and then took him into custody. What happened was I went in there to talk to everybody, the police, about what was going on. And I had told them he gets off work about 5:30, 6 o'clock. So if you're there before him, you can get her and then hide. And then when he gets out of his car and starts to go into the building, you can get him. They listened to me, and they did exactly that, and it worked out perfectly. The drugs were exactly where I said they were, in the bedroom where it was padlocked. It had a monitor in the bedroom where she would record herself sleeping with different men that she would meet, and the old man would sit in the room and watch the whole thing happen. Now, okay. Police took Paso into custody first. Several officers waited for Sharp to return from work and then took him into custody. Neighbors described the boy as a nice kid who appeared to be overworked by his parents and often made excuses to them about the bruises on his body. Whenever I'd confront him about the bruises, he would say it happened at school, said David Lakowski, my upstairs neighbor. The boy often was seen on the street alone, toting grocery bags home, doing the family's laundry, Lakowski said. Paso is the mother of all 5 children who were living at the home, 3 boys, 5, 10, and 13, and 2 girls, 4 and 12. DCFS spokeswoman Dolores Walton, only the 2 youngest ones are Sharp's biological children, Walton said, the old man. The DCFS is keeping the children at its emergency reception center while preparing to place them in foster care, she said, adding that no relatives came forward to take care of the children. DCFS has had no prior involvement with the family. All the children were examined in an area hospital and released. Walton said none of the children showed signs of physical abuse, other than me. I was the only one that wasn't her biological kid. So that's what led into me going into foster care. And many years of tragedy and turmoil and stuff put behind me and changed my whole life. And now here I am today, sharing it with you guys, hoping to reach somebody else. If anybody out there needs help, all you have to do is say something. All you have to do is say something and have faith. Because people will help. If you post a message here on this video, I will personally come help. Just say something. Child abuse is real. It happens on a daily basis. And we need to quit. We need to stop this. See something, say something, do something. Thank you. God bless.